I must say thank you so much for watching us once more. And of course, we're always here. My name is Rowena Kajumba. And with me, our super soul sister this particular evening is someone who has had experience in what you would call communication. We talk about communication, and for some reason, we don't seem to know exactly what we're talking about sometimes. And she knows exactly what we're talking about. And with me is Christine Mawadri. She's going to be telling us her life journey. We're going to be walking through it. We're going to learn basically everything that most of us tend to miss here or misunderstand. Today, we're going to hear everything straight from her. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Kajumba. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I love your outfit.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're very busy. We must point that out. But thank you for making time. Thank you for being a super soul sister.
Thank you.
And I'm sure the people watching there are going to learn a whole lot and be like, oh.
I hope I impart
yes,
positively.
You definitely will. So when we're talking about Christy, before the amazing person you've turned into today, before your life experiences, before anything, who is Christine?
Huh. Which part do you want?
Let's start from when you were like very little.
Okay. I was born Christine Kabatongole Mawadri.
Okay.
I'm a sibling of 6.
Oh, nice.
And 5 girls, 1 boy.
Oh, wow.
We still call ourselves girl and boy, so yeah. Born to Beatrice Kabahenda Mawadri and Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Mawadri.
What was that like? So you were 6 of you. Well, mostly girls, but how was that like?
It was interesting because all my siblings are very independent-minded. And I think that comes from the way our parents viewed us, or the way they raised us all to be individuals in our own right, which I think was very good grooming for what life was to bring us. So it was interesting. I can't say one looks like the other in character or whatever. We are all very unique in our own ways, which is always a nice thing.
5 girls, really, and 1 boy. Was he the last?
No, he actually follows me. I'm the second. Second.
So in between, he's just somewhere in between there.
He's not just somewhere. That guy. he gets himself known.
He gets it. Okay.
Yeah.
That is lovely. That is good. And of course, earlier we were having the conversation. We're saying, who would know? Because you often use, and we know, and most people know you as Christine Mawadri. Now, it is today that I'm learning that there is another name, or a part of the name. Then, of course, I understand that maybe this is what you're used to using from childhood and things like that. So what happens? How does that feel like when people think, oh, she's probably from, I don't know, from where? And
I am from West Nile, Moyo. That's where my father is from. Specifically, a small area called Chele Chelea.
Okay.
Can you say that?
Chele Chelea.
Yes.
Yes.
Chele Chelea. My mother is from Fort Portal, Harukoto. Do you know where Harukoto is?
Yes.
Yes. I was raised majorly by my mother and her people when my father went into exile. So still my childhood, or our childhood with our father, did not weather away, because when you've been raised with your parents, there are some things that you don't forget.
That is true.
My mother was also very instrumental in making sure that my father's people were in our lives.
That's nice. That's nice.
They grew up with us, like part of the household, and we still think about it. We still hold them very, very dearly and respectfully in our lives.
And usually for most people it's tough, because if, for example, now your father is away, and she has to step in and still keep you in contact with your people and make sure that you engage with them, you know who they are. Some people do struggle with that a lot.
That's very true. That's why I keep telling people when they ask me who my role model is, I don't look for anyone outside my realm, people who have imparted my life. For me, it's my mother, because she did very exceptional things as a single parent raising the 6 of us. She died very young at the age, I think, 46.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So, but she imparted us so holistically that we were just confident enough to walk out into the world and just be the best that we can, whatever that is. So for me, she's my role model. And behind her, of course, was my grandmom, her mother, who was a very strong woman. So I come from a background, if you like, of very strong women.
Yeah.
And I celebrate them,
Strong
you know.
women.
Yeah.
That is lovely. So most of your childhood, you say you were in Fort Portal?
No, I wasn't in Fort Portal, actually. Most of my childhood, I was in Kampala. I'm a Kampala-raised kid.
Oh, okay, okay.
My early childhood was in Kampala, really. I went to Kampala schools. Those days, professionals worked all over the country.
That is true.
I was born in Jinja Hospital.
Oh, wow.
Yes, at the time my father was posted there.
Yeah.
Then I went to school at Lake Vic Primary School, nursery and primary school. At the time my mom was a teacher there, the nursery section, I remember. But we were
Is it
there.
the Victoria Nile now?
No, Lake Victoria is in Entebbe.
Oh, so you moved? Wow.
Yeah. From there, we were moved quickly to Kampala, at where we joined Buganda Road Primary School.
Yeah.
And it has been Buganda Road Primary School, Namagunga,
Okay.
Mount St. Mary's, hey, all the way to S6, and then Makerere University.
Okay. So what was that like for you? Because the moving, I see there was a bit of moving every now and then.
Yeah. It was very interesting, but you see, you adjust, especially when our father left for exile. We adjusted, and I think my mom and my grandmom and her people did a very good job of making sure that we did. Because my early childhood days, we always had our uncles and our aunties from my mom's side around us. We were always surrounded with them. So the transition wasn't so bad, really. It's just adjusting to different homes, different lifestyles, because the lifestyle was good growing up. It really was.
I can imagine it.
I can't lie.
Yeah.
So it was just adjusting.
And do you have anything you remember in particular in that moment, you know, on when your dad, you know, went to exile? How was this, you know, brought up to you, communicated? How do you have any particular memory or something in particular
I
recall
do.
about that?
Oh, there are so many. I don't know which one you want me to talk about, but
whatever is most.
That morning, of course, before he left, we kind of all knew that it was going to be turbulent, because while for the country it started maybe a few weeks before, for us in our home, it started probably a year before. For whatever reason, I think there might have been some differences about whose side he probably was on and all that. And those are not things that I are classified. I can't talk about that here. So the turbulence was there. As a kid, I could see it happening right from the time we were in Entebbe. So for it to build up to where it did was not very surprising. But of course, I was always looking out to see what's going to happen next. Has he come back home today?
So you always went back home thinking, is he home?
Yeah. It was not all roses. That particular morning, I remember he just went off with a bag. It was very early, and he came. He said, "Hey guys, I'll see you soon." That "see you soon" was not the usual, because usually he would go on duty and would never know. I mean, would know he's gone, but it was never that ceremonial. So he left with his bag, and that was it. Then before we knew it, we had to be taken to my grandmother's in Mbale, the whole lot of us. I remember we went with our uncles, our aunties, our grandfather at that time, Dr. Vyarahanga, the rest is so. So we went to my grandmom's in Mbale at that time. My grandmom, as I said, was a very strong woman. She had a business in Mbale, and she had an enterprise there. So we went there, and that was it. We didn't see Daddy again, or Dad again, until 86. By the time he came, we were all grown.
Yeah, I can imagine.
As a full-blown woman, my goodness.
So in between these shifts and you said you were in Buganda Road at some point.
Yes, the best school.
The best school,
in the world.
Yeah. Where were you staying at the time? Because
Oh, we were staying. We were staying in Kololo, actually.
Okay.
Our house was just next to the Chinese embassy.
Oh.
And then when we came back after the little exile in Bali, we went to live with my uncle, or rather my grandfather, in Nakasero, because he was a doctor. And then thereafter, we went to live in Bugolobi at the flats. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a town girl.
Oh yeah. Yes, you are.
I love the country though, but I'm a
you know your town. You're like,
yeah.
Okay. So what do you in particular remember growing up? I want to know what type of child you are.
Well, interestingly, I was a very quiet child.
Really?
Extremely quiet, to the point whereby some people in the family did not, like my mom's or dad's relatives, did not know I existed.
Oh, wow.
I loved books. I just get my book quietly, go behind the curtain and read. My first hardcover novel I read at the age of 6.
Oh, wow.
And it was 6 or 7. It was Wuthering Heights.
Oh.
Charlotte, one of the Bronte sisters.
So I can see that. I can see that. Now, I think we're beginning to see where, where
So I loved my books. I like to be in my own world. And I think it was a good thing.
Your alone time, your space.
Yeah, because there were how many siblings in the house?
I know.
I had to find
and
my
then
own.
sometimes maybe you'd have cousins over.
Oh,
and things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
It was all never a boring moment. It wasn't. And my mom was such that everybody was equal. There was nothing like, these are mine. So you all had to get in there and struggle to get your space.
That is true. You had to find your way.
Yeah,
and I don't know if, I don't know.
And we shared everything.
Yeah.
We shared everything. If it was that 2 dresses you had, which were like your favorite car dress.
Yeah, sometimes.
You make sure that when your cousin comes, you make sure that you give her. If she doesn't have something or she has something that you don't have.
Yeah.
It was all a sharing thing.
I don't know. I feel like it's missing these days.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I mean, it's showing. It's showing in what value systems there are these days.
That is true.
I still hope that, the younger people can latch on some of these things and see how beautiful it is to be with one another, to have Ubuntu,
Yeah. You learn, you work together.
It starts at home.
Yes,
when they give you that lasagna and you're all sitting there,
Yes.
and that one has taken my meat, this one has, those ones.
Yes, that is very
Those
true.
were very good
my
learning
shoes,
experiences.
my dress,
Exactly.
and then you argue and make up and learn how to deal with each other.
Yeah.
That's something we're missing. I don't know, but that must have been lovely. I know when you said you were about 6.
There was some hard times, to be honest. But as kids, there's a way you switch things around.
That is true.
Like we used to move in groups from Buganda Road. There will be times when, for some reason or the other, the family car has been taken by the rebels, as they would say, or intercepted, and we were not picked from school. So we'd just get into we'd get into our groups and you walk.
Wow.
Walk from Buganda Road all the way to Bugolobi, and we'd make sure we don't leave each other. Yeah. So those days there were Obote soldiers. Everyone feared, to be honest. And every time you passed a quarter guard, you're shaking,
You're like praying.
And we all knew we'd just keep quiet. Now, if you have that errant kid sister who's like, I am tired. You want to hold your mouth. And all of us would just walk quietly, with our bags. And you know, we were in higher classes and you have to hold your siblings' bags, you have to carry maybe the other one who doesn't have, you know, it was quite a mess. But somehow we got home on time. And with hindsight, I think our mothers and our parents at that time were very strong people. I mean, when you know your kids are out there and you don't even know how they're going to get back home. Because imagine you're walking from Buganda Road Primary School all the way to Luzira. At what point are you getting home?
And
which means
anything at that point because of the uncertainties.
Yeah. And sometimes these guys would stop us, Simama, and would all stop. Then they come with their torches and they look at us. All they're looking at them because this is about 6:37.
6:37.
It's late. So, and one specific place was Wankoko. Wankoko, that's where there's the car bond around National Water.
Yeah.
The place was something else.
It was.
Yeah. So anyway, so we'd make sure that everyone is dropped off, those who are going to Luthuli. It was like a drop, huh?
Yes,
they branch. Yes. There was only one guy who always continued on his own. His name is Moses Birungi. I don't know where Moses is. If anyone knows where Moses is, shouts out to him. Because we always let Moses go on his own. Because he had to continue to Luzira. Okay. So it wasn't really the happy town life, you know.
Yeah. But you survived.
But here we are.
You survived. You
survived to tell the story.
Yeah. And now going into, you said you went to Namagunga?
Yes.
Now going into boarding school, adjusting, was that a relief for you?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. To be honest with you, no. Personally, I didn't adjust.
Yeah.
Because first of all, we're so used to being around boys. It was not a big deal. They were just like part of the whole thing, you know. You argue, you stand up, you say your mind, you're friends. Tomorrow you're sharing Big G, you know, those things.
Yeah.
Now, I was surrounded with just girls. Girls. And I thought to myself, okay, this is new, but I took it quite, I didn't adjust very quickly. It took me actually a time to adjust.
Oh.
Yeah.
And knowing that, okay, you're now in that space where you're limited in some sort of way, is that how you felt?
It's just the way the thinking was different. Girls think differently from when you are with boys and girls who are with boys. There's a different way that you think and you do your things. First of all, I found them to be so ladylike. Oh,
yeah, I can.
Really ladies.
So like, please, this is too much.
They were really ladies. They were gentle. I didn't have to fight.
To get your
Primary
way.
school, I had to fight to get my way. You know, here I didn't really need to fight. The fights were different. They were different kind of fights.
So did you think, okay, maybe did you ever become a prefect or someone in leadership to make it easier on you? Or maybe because you have a leader.
I tried to take power in my hands and that wasn't nice because it wasn't time for me to. But I was given leadership.
Ooh,
I think
nice.
in S1, I think. I don't know, I was given...
That's
I was given, they used to call them representatives for, we know the school had ministries.
No.
Yes, those ministries and then reps. So I was given a rep position, I think, in S1. I can't remember what it was. But it also helped me to align myself quickly and get in the system.
So when you finally catch up, when you finally adjust, maybe make friends and things like that. In the beginning, like you mentioned, it was a bit new for you. But now, of course, you're much more comfortable. You're much more, you feel like part of the school now. You feel like everything is normal. What did that play out for you eventually?
I think now the focus, because that school was very competitive.
Oh, yes.
It was very competitive. And we had all the facilities to succeed, really. So there was no room to have sorry parties, woe is me. And I think the school really did well. We had a dining room where we would all go and have our meals vis-a-vis the cafeteria system that I heard about, which I thought was horrendous. How do you line up for food?
Anyway.
Then we had dormitories which had very very few beds.
Beds, yeah.
Very neat, and they were all uniform. We had uniform counterpanes. So if you entered the dorm, you then find different colors of blankets and duvets or covers. It was all, and all the dorms had their own counterpanes, which was really cool.
Nice.
The suitcases, you'd never find a suitcase in the dorm. There was a box room for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we had pianos, we had guitars if you wanted to learn how to sing.
Yeah.
So I just immersed myself in there.
Were you into the extra, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Have you met me? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love to sing.
Oh, that's lovely.
I love the arts. I like to act. Pity, I've never really
Gone into
explored those things, but you never know.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there were the games. There were 2 lawn tennis courts. There was a field to run.
Nice.
There was, oh my God, there was a lot. There was a table tennis sport. There was badminton sport. There was a whole big hall dedicated to sports, and then, of course, outside. And I think the school had about 3 pianos or something.
Oh, wow.
4, I think. And then there's the privilege of being in high school.
Yeah.
When you're in high school, it's even better because you have your own room.
Yeah.
Own room complete. That set there you see with a mirror, whatever.
Everything.
On your
really?
own. Yeah. With flush toilets.
That's
so
lovely.
it was, Namagunga was quite nice.
Okay.
I hope they still keep the standard.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I don't hear much today because a lot of, you know, private schools are
and then you know, after the adjustment, then we really would miss our friends, you know, during holidays because of distance, and then our parents were quite strict. You don't just go anyhow to people. So you look forward to really seeing them when you get back to school. Yeah,
that must have been fun.
It was.
So that was for O level.
Both O and A.
Both O and A.
Yeah.
Ah, you loved. You got to love the school.
Yeah, I got to love the school. I did. Okay, there was a lot of work to do because they would peel very early in the morning. At 4 a.m. we'd be going to peel. We peeled our own food, and then we washed our own dishes after meals, which I think was a good thing.
Yeah. At the time, you were like, oh.
But you know, when you're in a group, you go. But the peeling was always the hard one.
Yeah.
And then the spiritual side was also very good, actually, because there was a chapel, a small chapel, where we go to pray after meals or after dinner. It was almost like a given. You take a walk and then you go to the chapel, and you just quietly find time.
I don't know if it's the times or what, but the girls were quite disciplined then, very quite disciplined. The systems, you know, in the schools then were quite good. And even though it was sosh and the boys came around, I think there would be some bit of discipline. Unlike, I don't know much today. But there would be a bit of...
I don't know what that is, but I'll tell you.
Like holding back a bit.
Oh, no, not a bit. We held back quite a bit. Not a bit. It was a whole lot. Yeah. And the guys were also nice. They were gentlemen. Well, there were some schools that were not. I won't mention them. But there were those that were nice. Yeah. They were gentlemen. They did not harass us too much. They were not forceful. And also, I mean, if you enter an environment whereby, first of all, you're not going to line up for your meals, the hall has been prepared for you so nicely. Yes. The ladies are all there, decently dressed or whatever, fun. And we were very outgoing. We were not shy. That's the interesting thing. We were really outgoing. We'd go in there, chat with the guys, talk with them, walk around the school, show them around the school, you know. Sometimes you'd show the same guy, the same school for... Yeah.
I like how you say that sometimes.
Yes, that it was routine. But with hindsight, it was a good thing because if people visit you at home, you should show them around.
Definitely, yes, definitely. You welcome them, they feel at home. What were you leaned into? What were you thinking? Okay, now when I finish my senior 6, this is what I want to do.
Oh no!
At this point,
no. Remember, I told you I started reading very early.
Yeah.
From a very early age, I knew I needed to do either 2 things: be a lawyer or a journalist.
You had your mind set. Yes.
And for me, I was curious about everything everything. I read everything.
Yeah.
Like if there was a newspaper here, Christine would just be looking to see what's
what-
there. If I go to somebody's office, half the time I'm looking at you, but I'm looking around to see if
what-
there's any
yeah.
material that can catch my eye or my, my mind.
Yeah.
So I love to read a lot. I liked news. I loved showbiz. And I liked to collect music.
Oh, wow.
And I was just so lucky that I had uncles who had music.
Music, yeah.
Hey, they had music.
I hope you still have your collection.
No, I don't. I have them here though. My mom loved music. You know, so our home was just music. We loved music a lot. So I knew I needed to do two things, either be a lawyer or a journalist.
Yeah.
But how I was going to get there was another matter.
Yeah.
Turns out when I got to Makerere University, I couldn't get the law. And there was no journalism school at that time or communications. But my hope was always that by the time we got there, that would
It will
there.
be, yeah.
So I ended up doing fine and industrial art, because I wasn't going to do a flat course. I told my mom, editing correct. So let's do it. No, it has to be a professional course. And turns out it wasn't just painting and flowers. It was a very tough course.
And you know, when people out there, they're like,
no.
What happens, you know, in that course?
Can I
What
tell
do
you
they do?
very quickly what happens at fine art? There are sessions when you're taken down to Mulago Hospital to draw cadavers.
Oh.
Do you know what a cadaver is? It's a dead body. It's a corpse.
Wow.
Yes. There are sessions when you're taken to the School of Technology to understand the machinery, how that works, and you need to draw it. So that later on in life you can be illustrationists. You see these books that have illustrations?
Yes.
For like your introduction to biology or about physics. Who do you think was drawing those pictures?
It's definitely
the
the
artists. Then they take you to School of Architecture. They show you buildings, how to draw perspectives, how to understand, you know, what are they called, alignments of buildings, to draw symmetry, all those things. So School of Fine Art wasn't just roses. Then they would throw you sometimes at some garage full of piles of scrap.
Wow.
And the lecturer tells you, I need you to take this angle. So you have to sit on top of a pile. Jeans was my thing. Jeans and sneakers. Anyone who remembers me?
Yeah.
Jeans, sneakers, and
Most
my drawing board.
comfortable wear
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
That was my life. But it was fun life. It was nice.
was
And then, of
nice.
course, we got our hands dirty with clay to make sculptures, to
make
do
sculptures,
ceramics. I actually did ceramics very well. Yeah.
We've learned something, because, you know, quite often people do not know. You know, they just hear and they're like, that may not work for me. But I think you've had, and this gives a different perspective to this, because then you're learning so many things while in school.
Yeah.
And then you find that quite often you find yourselves in these positions as well.
Yes.
Where you're like, oh, thank God I have my knowledge, you know,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
I got, yes. And it's something that then gives you a mind that is imaginative in a way.
Yes.
That's quite imaginative.
And I like the
Now
way
I
you're
see.
thinking. Yeah. I like your,
I get
like your
you
thought
now.
process. Yeah.
I get you now, because with that and with the love for books, and at this point you're like, okay, this is going to work for me. So then, do you at any point or any chance get the opportunity to go and do your journalism?
Now, this is very interesting. When I finished university, I was scratching my head and I was like, okay, so now you've done fine art. You've done a lot of things. One of them was data collection.
Oh, yeah.
My boss at that time, for a short time, eventually became my real boss, which was Patrick Kwaku, right from campus. And the assignment
You were
was,
working while you were in school?
Yeah.
Nice.
I worked all my school years, especially during the vacations, holidays,
Yes.
and during campus, I was working. I was actually a businesswoman as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, my mom had 6 of us to raise.
That's true.
I wasn't going to sit down and wait.
That's true.
So business has always been my thing. And those people who know me, know me.
You've
Guys,
always-
now
yeah.
you know where it comes from.
So when you leave school and rather when you
finish university. Yeah. So when I finished university,
you stay at where you were working. You continue to work with
yes,
them.
I continued to
Where
stay
was
with.
this?
No, it was a place called Data Center. I think it was for Patrick Kwako, but it was a short stint.
Okay.
And then somewhere in between there, they said there was a new radio station that was coming up. So I thought to myself, okay,
This
how
is
do I
what I've
get
always
there?
wanted.
So this is right up my alley. Whatever it is, I'm
have to
going
go.
in there. Turns out my aunt who I live with at the time knew the proprietor, Thomas Kato. And, you know, she said, no, if you want to go work there, but what are you going to do there? I said, you don't worry, just show me where to go. The rest I'll find. So I went and I met John Kato at that time. And I thought I'd be doing a sales and marketing job or something. And John said, no, you need to go to the studio. I said, studio to do what? I don't know nothing about. Said, don't worry. We've got professionals there. They will show you what to do. You'll be fine. So I went for a voice test. And the whole time, the producer, his name is Martin Semakula. Martin, hi. He was just quiet. And I thought to myself,
oh, I'm messing up.
What have I done? Is this going anywhere? So Martin tells me, sit, wait outside. So I go and wait. And then he comes back and he says, there's a script here. Would you like to read it? I said, that's a good sign, maybe. And he said, just visualize the script. Do it like you know, the way you feel you want to do it. I read the script, I understood the assignment, and I did. I left it there. He just shook his head, scratched his big beard, and told me to go back and sit. So at this time, they told me, now go and sit in the other waiting area because there are other kids coming in to do the same. And in comes this young, very energetic Indian lady called Gita Nair. She was the station manager. She says, Christine, you've got a job. I said, okay, what job am I doing? Am I reading? What am I doing? She said, no. You come tomorrow, then we'll show you what to do. So from there, it was just history. They gave me a slot in the mid-morning. They told me, what do you like to do? I told them, I like to read books. I like home things, like cooking, recipes, you know, because I was not going to talk about politics. I didn't study journalism. I was not going to pretend what I wasn't. So they said, so just make the best you can out of this show. Come with what you know.
Which, for the people, which station is this?
Sanyu FM.
Sanyu FM. Now, when it came and it was different.
Yes.
It was quite different from most. You felt like this is
my
where
friend,
I belong.
You don't understand. And by the way, with all much respect to UTV, where we all came from, UTV grew us, as they say. It was amazing. It was like, how would I say, like how you have a holiday camp with your friends and you're just creating he just gave us a spot and said, kids, go and be.
Go and,
My goodness. Everything we wanted to be, we became. Of course, we had guidance from Radio Bob South Africa. Those were like the trainers. We also had VOA from time to time to come and skill us. He invested in us very well. So from the get-go, we understood that the business was about creative, but also we had to talk to an audience. So we understood this very early, very soon. We knew that it wasn't about us, it was about the audience.
So when you came, they said, okay, you can do...
Yeah, I got in there. I remember my first show was horrible. Oof. It was so bad. I had a script.
Or maybe you're being hard on yourself.
And I was there. So now coming next, then I realized, hold on. There's music on this playlist that I actually like. In the library, there was music and I was vast with music knowledge. That time was Samson Bill Nyatia, who was the library guy and the music selector. He was really good and we understood each other. So we'd go in there, compile my music, tell him what I want. Those days there were CDs, cards. You guys, you'll never know our life. You'll never understand it. Anyway, so there were CDs because the way we played our music, we'd talk and at the same time we'd be changing, making sure that there's an overlay so there's no gap. That's how it sounded, very smooth.
So it's quite easy to do, huh?
It was muchaks, my friend. Just keep doing that, then get the cut and put it in there for the ads. Meanwhile, you're keeping the momentum so that there's no dead air.
Yeah, that is true.
It's smooth.
Yeah.
You'll never understand. Anyway, so we would sit with Bill every evening, or rather every afternoon after my show, because I prepare for my show the next day. Prep was always very important. I'd have my script. I'd say, okay, so what are we talking about tomorrow? Talking about this, that. Then we had prep. We somehow got Today in History. I don't know how we got that info. I think John Cato used to give us material from the US and London about celebrity birthdays, about what. So we were very equipped about radio material, content, who wanted.
Set the pace.
Set the pace, but there was no internet at that time, remember? So that information
You really had to be informed.
Yes, absolutely.
To be on air, to do this kind of work.
Absolutely.
You had to be informed.
If you didn't do prep, then you wouldn't do a show. You'd rather call in sick.
It's not like today where people just go on Google and...
No, you can't. You cannot. You couldn't. And even if you gave me a show right now, I'm surprised I'm even sitting here.
Yeah.
It's just that it's a freestyle talk and it's all good. But if you gave me a radio show and said, Christine, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole if I'm not prepped for it.
That is true. So you were at Sanyu for about how long?
1 year.
1 year. At this point, what changed? What happened?
Became a star.
Oh, yes. At that point, you're like, yeah.
I became a star. My God. And I didn't even know I was one.
Really? Until, by it happens. You don't know.
No, I didn't even know I was one until Capital Radio approached me.
So you're like, wait, hold on.
Hold on. It gets better. Nice, I've hardly started. Where are we going here?
Where are we going?
Yeah, Capital Radio.
So then after a year, you went to Capital?
Yes, I did.
Yes. And different roles, different assignments.
Capital Radio was no play school. That's all I'll tell you.
I can imagine.
It was extremely professional from the get-go. Your image was very important. How you portrayed yourself to the public and the client was very important. Your work ethic was extremely, extremely important. Everything was pegged with KPIs. It was run like a proper system. There was a software for managing programming, so you're not just going to play awesome because I like the song. I feel like a Jonathan Butler today. No.
Oh my.
We played for the audience. We played for the people.
And you were prepared for that. You knew what you were bringing on board. I understand that from that. So how long were you at Capital?
I was at Capital from 1995, April, to be exact, to 2003. Yes.
Wow. That was wow.
Yeah, it was wow.
And with all that time and experience, and of course you get to have more people come through, and you get to teach
what
and
lovely
train.
thing that Capital Radio did that made us very solid was they were constantly skilling us, they were constantly training us, they were constantly upgrading us, and we also had the zeal and the impetus, if you like, to want to do better, to want to be on top of things. You know, to reach for that international standard.
That is true.
And it was cool, and they gave us the platform for that. Plus the structure.
And I must say, wow,
you're very emotional
enjoying
today.
This. I'm enjoying this, and I must say, no, I laughed quite hard, and I was like, but we're here at Daughters Exclusive. They give us the amazing space. And we're still here with Christine. She's telling us her life journey. She's telling us where she started. Do not fear to dive in, okay? Do not fear to dive in. Always dive in and see where it takes you. Enjoy yourself while you're at it. You know, from what I pick, she's enjoyed herself.
Still enjoying herself.
Still enjoying herself, indeed. And we're still coming back with a whole lot more to know. So we know for right now she was at Sanyu and then she went to Capital. And when we come back, we'll be talking more about her journey in radio. Don't go away. And we're back with Kristen, and she's been talking about her journey, and for me this is like, oh wow, exciting, because everyone has their journey. I know some of you out there, if you are journalists, before you went in there, you know, you would dream, you would expect, you would think about all these things, and I love that you're taking us through that journey of yours as well. So 2003 is when you left Capital. How did this happen? What happened there?
Mr. Conrad Nkutu happened. He happened to have been the MD for Monitor Publications. And they just wanted to scale up and upgrade Monitor FM to KFM. So that's how we came in to give birth to KFM.
Yes, the big, yeah. So then you come, for some, she's like always among the pioneers. Eh? She goes when things are beginning, the good stuff. Eh?
We are called igniters.
Indeed.
Chumkomuro, like we call it. That's what it is. Tunawakisha.
Yes, and I love that. That takes spirit, that takes zeal. But some people would be, you know.
Not for me. No. I go in there.
Yeah. That's lovely. So when you go to KFM now, because they're transitioning from Monitor FM to KFM.
Yeah.
What changes? Do you see anything change?
Oh yeah.
You as
my
individual,
goodness.
as a person?
I learned. If Sanyu was a sole proprietorship, Capital was a company, KFM was part of a whole big group. I mean, there were layers. Whatever it is that you want to put out there, it had to go through many systems for it to be filtered and to get understood whether this works really or it doesn't. But I am very grateful for that experience. Sometimes I felt it was a bit slow to get things done, but hey, that's how things work. Nation Media is not a small feat. It's a big deal. Found it very different actually.
And what did you learn from that? What did you pick from that?
I learned about the whole corporate dynamics. I also learned how to work with multiple people. Like that one was really like a multitude of people. Capital Radio staff, maybe we were about, at tops, if we're that many, we were about 30 maybe, or 35. Here there were hundreds of people.
Oh yeah. Can you imagine?
And from the journalists to this to that, you know, when you think you're going one direction, someone says, oh no, there's something you missed out. It's very important. Let's do it this way. And then I started to see that this thing has more branches. It spreads out. Yeah. Then Patrick Bitature happened. And John Kato actually. And they said, listen, there's this baby called Dembe. She's a Luganda speaking station. Come see what you can do with her.
I love that, you know. Over time they say, well, she has something she can bring to the table. We need her.
All I'm just saying is make the best of every situation. You have to be the best version of yourself. Whatever that best version is, someone else will see it.
So now Dembe FM happens.
Dembe was a roller coaster, but I think my best experience, career experience so far.
It challenged you.
Oh yeah.
Challenged you.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
We got her from one place and took her to another place. I don't say I got that. No, I say we. Because the team was so exceptional in accepting that we needed to take this brand to another level. And that right there was the core for its success. Because once you start to make this thing about you only, then it loses its luster to be heavier to carry.
How did you deal with fame?
What's fame again?
You became popular, you became, you know, the go-to person, of course, within your colleagues and peers. So how did you deal with this? You know, some people begin to grow wings.
I don't know, but my principle in life is very simple. I like to be the best version of myself. My best version means I have to grab all that's important to making me grow, because I feel I'm growing all the time. I mean, the Christine that was here was around 5 years ago is not the Christine that was there 20 years ago. Not, you know what I mean? It's just, I feel there's more. There's more for me to get. I haven't reached there. So what fame are we talking about? That's why I asked you, what's that? What's fame?
I love that, because some people, if their name rings in so many people's ears, they're like, I think that's it for me.
It's nice. It opens doors sometimes, but I don't like to play that card either, because most times I want to be validated. I don't want to be validated by who I am. I want my validation to be as I am.
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
So, Dembe, how long were you?
Dembe, I was there for maximum of about 5 years.
Okay, that's not bad.
Not bad at all. Then Zuku came up, and I went to manage Zuku as a country manager.
As a manager.
Now that is a whole different
dynamic. I know.
I could see KFM playing in there because there was a Nairobi office, there was a Uganda office, there was all these different things I had to deal with. Dealers and installation and TV, marketing, and Start Times had come, and MultiChoice was already there. So, now trying to get this baby on the road and get the best that you can, get as many subscriptions. It was a whole different rat race.
Yes.
It was a rat race, but it was different. Yeah.
So how did that go for you? How did that
actually interesting, because again my ceiling started getting too close. And then a friend of mine and I decided to build an app for mobile TV, so that people, what you guys are seeing now on Netflix, for us, we had built it in 2013, 2012. Because Zuku opened my eyes. I was like, hey, so we can actually put this thing. What's the next best thing? It's the mobile. So how can we do? So we built actually an app for that. Went on to be Airtel TV. It died because I think both parties were not ready for something big like that. There were still doubts about data, whether people
how will it work
data, the mobile population, will it grow? So we debunked that. Yeah. Then I went to Sanyu. I went back to Sanyu. I went back to Sanyu as a PD. Quite interesting experience.
Yeah.
But it was nice to be back anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, wow.
And then after Sanyu, I went to a jazz station. That also packed because population was not ready for it.
For jazz.
But interestingly, when we shut it down, everyone was in my inbox. I got so much flag for shutting it down. I didn't know we had an audience.
Oh no,
it was quite big.
You definitely did.
Yeah,
you definitely did. But it was at some point I wondered what happened.
No, I can tell you what happened. Honestly, the advertising concerns did not feel we were that. They looked at us as the usual radio station where you needed to have numbers. They didn't. I think they didn't appreciate at that time that there was a niche station, or rather a niche audience that appreciated this music, and there were many. Because if you went to people's phones, what would you find on their playlist? You'll find Kenny G. You'll find Jonathan Butler. What's that? That's jazz music.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, because the people in these marketing spaces, they are looking at masses. The numbers, the masses.
Because you see, most times we're blinded by the traditional way radio was run 20-something years ago. We don't realize that the dynamics have changed and that there's so much segmentation and many strata in the market. How are you feeding different markets? Why are we all going for a certain demography when there are those that are underserved, and they are also, they actually have a market, and they'll bring money, they'll bring business, like the premium brands.
Yes.
Premium brands have big brands there, they've budgets for them. And there are ways to set up concerns which can serve them, but that's business now.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you've seen where I'm going.
Yes, I do. So okay, now the jazz radio now,
Yeah.
you know, comes
Jazz
to
radio, we sold it off to NBS, which now became Next Radio.
Next Radio.
And then thereafter, I went into consultancies. I set up East FM in Tororo, which is now number one.
Nice.
I also set up TBS, which is also number one, I think, number one or number two. They're doing very well. And yeah, just been doing my radio consultancies, setting up apps.
I love
I
that.
actually have an app for medical dispatches and all that.
Oh.
Yeah. I did also something for the movie sector, which also I've packed because its time hasn't come, but it will come.
It will come. And now currently you're at...
Okay, currently I'm at NRG Radio. NRG is a Kenyan brand.
Yeah.
It's a disruptive brand, that's why I love it. It's a disruptive brand, and that's why I love it, because we've come to do things very differently.
Yeah. Quite often we put things, you know, behind us and say, oh, well, I want to move on to the next thing. But what you've had in the past or in the recent past as your experience, if you use it quite well or if you use that knowledge, people can go places. She's developing apps.
Yeah, because all that's part of media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But real quick,
yeah,
you're still a book lover, you still read your books, you still read your novels?
You know, these days they're audiobooks.
Yes, yeah.
These days they're audiobooks. So, yeah, I still
listen to your books.
I still look for knowledge. I try and read when I can. Yeah. In my free time, I'll be listening to audiobooks. I try and play a bit of golf.
Oh, nice.
A bit.
A bit.
Or,
so you're one of those members who are not regular, but sometimes.
Yeah, but I think I will be. I need to make it a lifestyle thing, for my health and all. You know, I've been around quite a bit, as in age-wise. So I need to find something that's good for me, that I also enjoy to do.
That you also enjoy.
Yeah.
That is very true. You cook.
You
love
in
to
the
cook.
family.
Yeah, because
the family, I'm known as the best cook.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
You know, when they asked you the first time, when you went to Sanyo and you said something cooking, you know?
Plants, cooking, households.
Yeah.
Like this environment right now,
Is your,
Thank you for not taking me to a studio. What's this place called? Dogash?
Dotash.
Dotash.
Yes, Dotash.
Love it.
And
love it.
The energy, it's you know, it's giving out.
Yeah, love it. It's just too cool.
Love that.
Like it.
Indeed. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love
to
cook.
to the young.
Young people. Guys.
Boys and girls, you know, because they're telling us we're forgetting the men. So.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Because I always like young people to feel good about who they are and as they are. And to know that it might be tough now, but it's not tough all the time. Yeah. And to find that whatever little strength there is, that little ignition, use it to step. Because once you learn how to step, then you can just keep going. 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 Because stepping doesn't mean it's always going this way. It will go like that.
Oh, yeah.
It will go in different dimensions. Yeah, but just keep going. Be the best version of yourselves. Learn. And when I say learn, be curious about everything. You don't have to be in the US to know about metaphysics. You don't need to be in China to know about what's going on with the latest technology they have. Everything is on your phone. It's on your palm. Use it.
That is true.
Enjoy TikTok, but get things that
help you, you know.
So that you can have meaningful conversations with people and also for your mind to grow.
Sometimes you see young people getting into spaces and they're lost.
Well, I am a mom of a wonderful 23-year-old guy. When you say they get lost, I think they want guidance, but they don't have it. They actually, they're painful. They want the guidance, but we're not giving it to them. Or we don't have time for them.
Yes,
and you can't blame us also because life is going so fast, you know. So
That is true.
yeah,
That is
so
true.
we are the problem why
yeah.
they feel entitled. It's us.
Okay, that is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very rarely will
It's
you find a
us.
parent say, you know what, we are the problem.
We are the problem. You need to hold their hand and say, buddy, I'm with you
Yes,
in this.
yes.
Which part do you want me to do? Where can I help
Exactly.
you? Can you
Yes.
go it alone? I think you can go it alone. Okay, go some way, then let me know how it goes. Then
Indeed.
come back, let's see how it works.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Now, I must say we've been very honored today to have our super soul sister, Christine Mawadri. And of course, she's been telling us about her life journey. She's been telling us about some of the things that she's been able to experience. In this particular interview, we really, I would say, intended to focus on the positives, okay?
Yeah.
Indeed, there's nothing that doesn't have its challenges, but we decided to focus on the positives because so that you can see that out of everything, out of the journeys that we have, we need to learn to pick and focus on the positives. Yes, the negatives do build us, they give us, the push, but the positives, quite often, we forget. And I must say thank you so much for watching. My name is Rowena Kajumba. From me and the entire team, we wish you a lovely, lovely night.